Hello and welcome to the news. To present, my name is Jeffrey Siambo. Top stories in the news: Zambia Army commandos have managed to retrieve the bodies of 6 pupils who drowned in Pusa Dam in Serenje district on Friday. Health Minister Chitalu Chilufya says government has disbursed 64 million kwacha towards the fight against cholera since the disease broke out in October 2018. And Transparency International Zambia has questioned the arrangement which you see a yet-to-be-named mining company reconstruct Lusaka City Market for free. The news in detail. The Zambia Army commandos from Mushili unit in Ndola have today managed to retrieve all the 6 bodies of pupils who drowned in Pusa Dam at Kachipapa Farm in Serenje district of Central Province. Last Friday, 6 pupils, among them 2 girls, drowned after a boat they were in capsized. The children, 12 in number, from Pusa Primary School, were invited to join birthday celebrations by Liu Stein, 28. 6 of the children swam to safety in the incident, which happened at 15 hours at Kachipapa Farm. The commandos were deployed on Sunday to search for the bodies. Central Province Permanent Secretary Chanda Kabwe has told QTV News via telephone that the bodies will be buried after post-mortem. Mr. Kabwe says Pusa Primary School, where the funeral for the deceased pupils is being held, will remain closed for a week. He says the youngest of the victims is 5 years old, with the oldest being 14 years. The Drug Enforcement Commission in Lusaka has arrested a Bolivian national for trafficking in 2.1 kilograms of cocaine, which was wrapped in condoms concealed in 55 bottles of raw-on. Commission Public Relations Officer Teresa Katongo says the suspect, identified as Veizaga Arias Steven, 27, was intercepted at the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport upon arrival from Rio de Janeiro via Angola aboard an Angolan Airlines flight. And Ms. Katongo says the Commission has also arrested 4 people for various drug-related offenses in an operation conducted in Lusaka's Chiwolia Township. She says those arrested include Joseph Chingangu, 52, of Chilenje Township for trafficking in cannabis, and Brian Kaputula, 29, a carpenter of Chiwolia Township, for trafficking in 7 sachets of cocaine and heroin. Others arrested for trafficking in loose cannabis are Brian Kapisha, 24, of Zingalume Township, and John Daka, 24, a businessman of Chipata Compound. Meanwhile, the Commission in Central Province has arrested 11 people for unlawful cultivation and trafficking in cannabis. All suspects will appear in court soon. Health Minister Chitalu Chilufya says government disbursed over 64 million kwacha to fight the cholera epidemic which broke out in October last year. Dr. Chilufya says the 64 million kwacha so far used to fight the cholera outbreak, which has so far claimed 85 lives countrywide, was drawn from the Treasury. Dr. Chilufya said this in Parliament in response to a question by Kelengi Member of Parliament Elijah Mchima, who wanted to know how much money came from cooperating partners as well as from the Treasury to fight the cholera epidemic. He explains that while a lot of cooperating partners donated assorted materials to fight the epidemic, government released 64 million kwacha towards the response. And Dr. Chilufya told the House that the cholera outbreak is abating and that the nation is at the verge of containing the epidemic.
Mr. Speaker, cholera treatment units across the affected districts remain open for triage and stabilization of suspected cases. Additionally, in Lusaka, the 2 main cholera treatment centers at National Hero Stadium and Chawama Festival Hospitals remain open to manage patients. These facilities have been staffed with doctors, nurses, and other health workers. The treatment centers have also been provided with adequate medical supplies, including drugs and IV fluids, to support patient care. All provincial and district medical offices countrywide have been put on high alert to escalate disease surveillance activities, put in place isolation facilities, and stock up emergency supplies. The Ministry of Health has procured and increased provision of chlorine, medical supplies, laboratory reagents, personal protective equipment, and IEC to all districts affected by the outbreak. Contact tracing and active case finding, environmental health staff and community health workers have been employed to trace all contacts with infected patients. This is critical to quickly identify those who may have contracted the infection, so they are screened and given appropriate treatment, and hence stop further spread of the infection.
Transparency International Zambia, TIZ, has demanded to know details of the arrangement which will see a yet-to-be-named mining company reconstruct the gutted Lusaka City Market at no cost to the government. TIZ Executive Director Wesley Chibamba says his organization is skeptical about this arrangement, especially that the mining company in question will reconstruct the market for free. He has also questioned why government has up to now not named the mining company that has offered to reconstruct the market. Mr. Chibamba states that inasmuch as the gesture ought to be appreciated, government should explain to the nation details behind such an undertaking. Mr. Chibamba says nothing of such magnitude can be done for free. Meanwhile, Mr. Chibamba says government should disclose how much money has remained from the donated funds towards the fight against the cholera epidemic.
Able to answer certain questions. Who is the mining firm? Which is this mining firm that is going to come and build the city market? What kind of deal is the government getting into with this firm? What incentives are there for them to come and build, a three-story market for free? I mean, we were happy that, investors would be willing to come and do this, but people need to be given information. There has to be full disclosure into the kind of deal that is being entered into. Naturally, people will be suspicious and think there are certain incentives that were given to this firm to come and build this market. But more than that, we know that there were a number of donations that were made towards the rebuilding of City Market. So if we're going to hear that there's going to be a mining firm that is going to rebuild the market for free, it's no cost at all to the government. People would naturally be interested in knowing what is going to happen to the donations, to the funds that were donated towards rebuilding the city market. So these are questions that we expect Honorable Vincent Mwale to answer, and this is the kind of information that people are looking for, that they should be responsible and accountable enough to provide to the Zambians.
Vice President Inonge Wina says government remains committed to ensuring ballot papers for the 2021 general election are printed locally. Ms. Wina says once the government printing department meets the specific technical security requirements for undertaking the assignment, as well as adherence to the Zambia Public Procurement Authority regulations, it will be able to print the ballots. Responding to a question by Nangoma Member of Parliament Boyd Hamusonde, who wanted to know whether government has any plans to print ballot papers for the 2021 general election locally, Ms. Wina says ballot papers are highly sensitive, thus stringent measures should be put in place before they can be printed locally. She says government has since constituted a technical committee to oversee the capitalization of the government printing department to ensure it meets the strict technical specifications and security requirements to undertake the assignment. Ms. Wina explains that the committee will continue monitoring the progress being made by the government printing department in terms of capacity and readiness to undertake the printing of ballot papers for the 2021 general election. The Treasury has allocated 2 million kwacha towards the rehabilitation of various infrastructure at the University of Zambia ahead of the reopening of the institution this month end. UNZA Registrar Sitali Wamundila has told journalists after a conducted tour of the facilities at the institution that the funds are expected to reach the coffers of the university by Wednesday this week. Mr. Wamundila says the university management is committed to ensure that the facilities at the institution are in a good state as the university reopens. We have details in this report.
This is one of the many tours and inspections being conducted at one of Zambia's top universities, which has remained closed due to the outbreak of cholera recorded in Lusaka last year in October. The University of Zambia is among some of Zambia's higher learning institutions that has suffered a major setback due to the outbreak of cholera, as the Ministry of Health directed that higher learning institutions remain closed due to them having unsanitary conditions. The wait, however, may soon be over, as management at the institution has since the closure worked on upgrading, rehabilitating and maintaining various infrastructures at the institution, which has been followed by inspections from health inspectors from the council and the Ministry of Health. Today, the health inspectors from the Lusaka City Council conducted a second inspection focused on the learning facilities at the institution. The first inspections conducted about a week ago focused on some of the hostels at the institution, but today's inspections were conducted at the University School of Biology, School of Business Studies, and the sports hall where exams are sometimes conducted. UNZA Registrar Mr. Staliwa Mundila assured the inspectors that the institution's learning facilities are in good form for the school to reopen.
As you can see from the graduate school of business here, they are cleaned every time, they are smelling well, perfumed every day in the morning. And I think our postgraduate students, this is the kind of environment we'd like them to have.
And after the tour, Mr. Wamundila disclosed that the institution has received about 2 million kwacha from the Treasury through the Ministry of Higher Education to be used for ensuring that the sanitation facilities are rehabilitated and upgraded in readiness for reopening.
As a university, we are very grateful to the government. We've been given some funding in the excess of about 2 million to channel towards the rehabilitation works. So as soon as we receive these funds, they should be able to take us a long way in as far as the completion of the works is concerned. So yes, that was confirmed that we have received the funding of 2 million towards the works. So we are in touch with our mother ministry to ensure that those funds are arriving to the university.
How soon are you having the funds?
We are hoping this afternoon the funds may be received by the university. If not, maybe first thing in the morning tomorrow. We are also making efforts to increase manpower. So we are in touch with the Ministry of Defense, who have promised to avail us more human resources so that we can have the works done as soon as possible.
He further used the occasion to announce the measures being put in place to address squatting at the institution, which is one of the major reasons that government gave in keeping the institution closed for fear of an outbreak of cholera.
New firm that is now running the university with sufficient numbers, but in addition to that, we will emphasize the use of the IDs by the students as they get into their residential areas, so we will restrict that access. But going forward, funds permitting, as we continue looking for more funds, we are thinking of putting up the electronic access cards into the residential areas so that we are able to completely remove squatting. We are also going to put some CCTV.
It is hoped that with the release of the funds, the facilities at the university will be upgraded to the required health standards and the long wait will finally be over and the university will be declared open. Nakaonga reporting for QTV News in Lusaka.
Police in Livingstone are holding a 60-year-old woman who is alleged to have crash-landed in ZESCO compound after flying on a witchcraft mission from Kalabo. Southern Province Police Commissioner Bonnie Kapeso has confirmed the development to QFM News via telephone and has named the woman as Lumai Nasilele, who was naked when she crash-landed in the area, having left her clothes at a graveyard in Kalabo before embarking on her mission. Mr. Kapeso says the incident happened on Monday night at about 23:30 hours in Livingstone's ZESCO compound. He says the woman is in a confused state and unable to talk at the moment, making it difficult for police officers to interview her. The Southern Province Police Chief says as soon as she regains her consciousness, the woman will be charged with conduct likely to cause the breach of peace. The Zambia Council for Social Development says recent reshuffles made by President Edgar Lungu at cabinet level are productive and have been long overdue. ZCSD Executive Director Louis Mwape has since expressed confidence that new Information and Broadcasting Services Minister Dora Silia will perform better in her new ministry than she did in her previous ministry. He says Ms. Silia is the reason why the agriculture sector is limping. Mr. Mwape states that Ms. Silia was misplaced in the Ministry of Agriculture and thus her new appointment is a huge correction the head of state has made. Meanwhile, Mr. Mwape has clarified that he does not want the president from prosecution immunity to be removed completely. He explains that what he wants is for the presidential powers to be limited and to allow for the prosecution of the individual holding office whenever he or she breaches the Constitution. Energy Minister Matthew Nkoa says his ministry will come up with robust reforms which will see a fuel price reduction in the country. He says he will also engage in his counterpart from Transport and Communications, Brian Mushimba, with a view of resorting to ferrying petroleum products using rail transport to reduce on transportation costs. Mr. Nkoa has told Parliament that there is currently no 25% import duty on finished petroleum products imported on behalf of government for consumption by the general public. He explains that the 25% is only levied when an oil marketing company imports finished petroleum products for its own consumption. Mr. Nkua states that there has been a ban on the importation of diesel and petrol by oil marketing companies for consumption purposes from January last year to March 2018, with an exception for low sulfur diesel on behalf of the mines by selected oil marketing companies such as Total, Puma and Oryx. He was responding to a question by UPND Mazaboka Central Member of Parliament Gary Kombo.
1% and VAT breaks out of inclusive total 16.38%. That 25% does not exist. The pricing, I put it here, I'll lay this document on the table for people to see so they can compare the ERP with the other information. I do know that the price of fuel is much higher in the Republic of Zambia, and we'll be doing a research very soon to find out also where we're going wrong. Yes, you can only learn. You can only learn if there's something wrong. That's why we are comparing with other countries. And I do know that even parliamentarians that is going to other countries to see the best practices in certain areas of learning. I don't think there's anything wrong. We're going to learn, we are going to put measures in place. For example, I say we shall start transporting fuel by rail. So meaning that the price of transportation will definitely come down.
The ruling Patriotic Front, PF, has disowned images of the toilet paper bearing President Edgar Lungu's portrait circulating on social media. PF Media Director Sande Chanda says the images are malicious, aimed at bringing the name of the president into disrepute. He says the party will not hesitate to report people circulating the images to the relevant investigative wings for defaming the president. Mr. Chanda says the ruling party welcomes issue-based politics and not politics of character assassination. He has since advised members of the public to ignore the circulating images.
We want to be very categorical here that the Patriotic Front would wish to remain as an issue-based political party. And in that regard, we want to call our colleagues in the opposition, where all these images and fake propaganda is coming from, that let them rise to the challenge and engage us at the level of issues and not tissues. We have no time for tissues, we have time for issues. This is what the Zambian people are expecting of us as a body politic. We want to also say that some of these images circulating border on defamation, and the law is very, very clear. The penal code under section 69 is very, very clear. The party will not hesitate to trigger any available options before the law to ensure that we protect and defend the integrity and the image of the head of state. And this should be taken as a clear warning to those who are behind this kind of malicious and cheap propaganda. And we can say without doubt that this is a work of our opponents. The opponents of the Zambian people know that the only thing that they can do is to base their debates, their issues on tissues.
Top stories in the news: the Zambia Army commandos have managed to retrieve the bodies of 6 pupils who drowned in Pusa Dam in Serengeti district on Friday. Health Minister Chitalu Chilufya says government has disbursed 64 million kwacha towards the fight against cholera since the disease broke out in October 2018. And Transparency International Zambia has questioned the arrangement which will see a yet-to-be-named mining company reconstruct Lusaka City Market for free. That's all we had in our news. My name is Jeffrey Siambo. Bye-bye.